all of our families, our schools especially, Lord. They are so important to our community. For all these things we ask in your blessed name, amen.
Thank you, Errol. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Right, there's a motion to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We'll move into our public comment. The public can participate in public comment in the following ways. You can sign up for public comment the night of the meeting right by the door, and you have 3 minutes to speak, or you can submit written statements via email to the town clerk the Friday before the meeting on Monday night. Please include your name, full name and address for the record, and your comments will be read into the record for 3 minutes. All right, do we have a motion to approve there's no one signed up for tonight. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, we'll move into our section 4, recognitions, reports, and presentations. Item 4A is the recognition of Carver Elementary School teacher, Miss Livonia Chilton. If you can come up to the podium. Ms. Chilton is an outstanding 4th grade teacher at Carver Elementary School, where she has taught for 21 years. This came from the principal. While I have only had the privilege of being her principal for 3 years, I know the positive impact that she has had and continues to have on her students, their families, and our staff. Ms. Chilton excels as a teacher because of her commitment to learning instructional practices that benefit all students. She understands the importance of educating the whole child, and she firmly believes students cannot learn until they know who they are. She has received state and local bonuses for high student growth multiple times because of her commitment to see all of her students succeed. When you enter Ms. Chilton's classroom, you will see and feel an atmosphere built on trust, respect, and a commitment to learning. Ms. Chilton has exceptional classroom management skills. Her class runs like a well-oiled machine. She plans exciting, authentic learning tasks that lead to high student engagement and high academic achievement. She works hard to engage her students in the 4 C's, which holds them accountable for their learning. It is truly a pleasure to see how well her students work together to problem solve and support each other in the learning process. Ms. Chilton has high expectations for her students, and they rise to the occasion. Although Ms. Chilton has a model classroom where other educators can learn high-impact instructional strategies, she attributes her success as a classroom teacher to building relationships with her students. It is with great Carver pride that your principal wanted to recognize you here tonight. So we wanted to have you here and thank you for everything that you do for our kids at Carver Elementary School in Wendell.
Thank you so much.
Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Just thank you for all your support to the local teachers, local schools. It's greatly appreciated. So,
Thank you. All right, next, item 4B is the presentation of the Wake County Public School System Strategic Plan, and we're going to hear from Dr. Leanne Alford.
Obviously, with a phenomenal staff, and our priority is to make sure that all our kids are safe. And please understand the issue at Wendell Elementary with the septic issue. One of the things we want to make sure that our students are in an environment where they can be in a space and not have to engage with that smell. And so that issue has been addressed, and things are moving forward. So I just wanted to say that first and foremost. Amy Tremere, you owe me money for those great comments I said about you. You did all right. So what we want to do is we want to build a partnership. We want to build a partnership with our municipalities within Wake County Public Schools. And this is our first time really doing this. We are going out to everywhere, and we want to be able to provide information about our strategic plan. And once you hear about our strategic plan more in tune, we want to be able to see what are some of the things that we can do together to enhance the learning community here in Wendell. And so as you hear the presentation today, please know and understand that at the end of it, we are more than willing to answer any clarifying questions you may have. If there's any particular issues or concerns that you would like me to take to the superintendent, I'm more than willing to do that as well. So this is our engagement of trying to ensure that we build a bridge that we cross, that we're all in this together. All right? So what about Wake County? So our student demographics is very simple. White demographic is 42.8%. Black demographics is 21.9%. Latinx, Hispanic, 19.3, Asian, 11.6, two or more races, 4%. And you can see all the information up there. We have 199 schools, 120 elementary schools, 38 middle schools, 31 high schools, and 10 multi-level. We have 20,000 employees, 11,000 teachers, and we are the 15th largest district in the nation, and we are the 10th largest employer in North Carolina. So 37420, what does this mean? This means we have 3 priorities, 7 goals, 4 pillars, and 20 aims. And so when we look at that, we really want to make sure that you understand what our mission. Wake County Public School System will provide a relevant and engaging education will graduate students who are collaborative, creative, effective communicators, and critical thinkers. Our vision is very simple. We want to ensure that all our students are prepared to reach their full potential and lead productive lives in a complex and ever-changing world. As you notice, our core beliefs, we really focus in and hone in on core belief 1, which we believe every student is uniquely capable and deserves to be challenged and engaged in relevant, rigorous, and meaningful learning each day. We also believe that every student is expected to learn and grow. And we want to make sure that we have well-supported, high-effective, and dedicated principals, teachers, and staff who are essential to the success of all our students. And as you read 4, 5, 6, and 7, you have that information as well. But I really wanted to highlight those top 3 because we want to positively impact student academic achievement for all students. Our plan recommits to academics, the 4 C's, family engagement, and high-quality staff. And it brings a new focus. It brings a new focus in our plan to equity, student well-being, and effective operations. And so we talk a lot about student well-being, but we also included in that narrative, we want to make sure that we focus on staff well-being as well. Our commitment definitely sets goals around excellence and equity.
And so Dr. Robinson mentioned our 37420. Here you see represented the 3 and the 4. So those are our 3 strategic priorities of student knowledge and skills. Those represent the outcomes that we want for every Wake County graduate, as you heard in the mission and vision, as well as student dispositions and well-being and operational effectiveness. As we think about the challenges that your schools went through today, you can really think about that aspect of operational effectiveness, and that is one of our priorities that's newly elevated in this new strategic plan, which was approved by our board last May. We have 4 essential pillars, and we think of these 4 essential pillars as the things that will make sure that we reach those outcomes that are represented by the 3 priorities. So high quality instructional core for all content areas so that all students are challenged, equity focused practices so we can make sure that we're reaching every student, high quality staff because we know our staff are essential to our student success, as well as family and community engagement, because we know that our families and our community are very important partners. Again, that's why we have this new initiative of coming and talking to all of the towns so that we can hear your concerns as well. And so if we look at this first strategic priority, we're going to start digging in now to our 7, which are our 7 goals. Our first 3 goals relate to strategic priority 1 of student knowledge and skills. And so we've defined that both by the outcomes of the 4 C's we frequently call them. This is something that we continued from our last strategic plan because as we got feedback from thousands of stakeholders, we really found that it's very important to our communities that we continue focusing on those soft skills that will help our students be prepared when they graduate. And so those are creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication, as well as those skills that they need to be successful. This is your traditional reading and math and literacy, science and social studies skills, but also your other literacies such as digital literacy, financial literacy, and those types of things that are important for students' lifelong success. And so we have 3 goals here. The first one is graduation rate. Our goal is a 98% graduation rate. This is building from our last strategic plan where the goal was 95%. And interestingly, 98% is, as measured by the state of North Carolina, how many students would graduate in 4 years. But we have 98% of students who should graduate in 4 years, for which that is their best academic path. There are about 2% of students that shouldn't necessarily graduate in 4 years because that's not what's best for them. This includes students on individualized education plans, also known as IEPs, or students who are in a 5-year program where they're receiving their associates while also in high school in a 5-year program. So that's where that 2% comes in. We really fully believe that every child should graduate. Then we have a proficiency goal of 90%. This is as measured by our state testing, and a growth goal, 90% of schools exceeding the statewide average of growth, while we make sure that all student subgroups are also exceeding that statewide average so we can close our gaps. Our second priority is student dispositions and well-being. This was another area of feedback, as Dr. Robinson mentioned, that we know that the staff well-being is just as important as the student well-being, as it really contributes to how the students experience their classrooms each day. So you will see both of those things in that definition for priority 2. And then we have 2 goals there defined as well. The first one is a 95% attendance goal. 95% of students in attendance 95% of their days. It is 95% of days on purpose, because we know that 100% attendance is not necessarily what's best for students either, right? Sometimes we get sick, sometimes we have to travel, but we want to make sure that students are there to receive instruction. Attendance is something that's become especially important post-pandemic, as we have seen our attendance decline, so it is a new area of focus for us. And then 90% of students demonstrating those social emotional skills. Again, this is something that's really important post-pandemic, really important to our community, that our students are able to function outside of school and after school. And so those are skills such as self-management, self-awareness, social relationship skills, as well as responsible decision-making. And so we have screeners that we're able to measure that in our students. We want to make sure that 90% of students are able to demonstrate those skills without additional supports. Of course, the other 10% of students would get the additional supports that they need as well. And then our third priority is effective operations, services, and facilities. We conceptualize this in 2 components. The first is internal operational effectiveness and external operational effectiveness. You'll see those 2 dynamics in the definition, but also in the 2 goals that are there. So that external operational effectiveness is really measured by the parent and family experience. And we have a parent survey that we do every year. We want to make sure that 95% of families are reporting to us that they have low barriers to engagement and a positive school climate. And then that 7th goal, employee experience, you heard Dr. Robinson say we are the 10th largest employer in North Carolina. So our employees' working conditions really affect the working conditions throughout our state and also the learning conditions of our students. And so we will be launching for the first time coming up this spring a all-staff survey so that we can measure the employee experience. The reason you don't see a number there is we've never done that before. There is a state-based teacher survey, but about 9,000 of our employees are not teachers. So we're looking forward to seeing that data for the first time, and we'll be setting our goal once we're able to collect that this spring. And then finally, in our 37420, we have 20 aims. So these are 20 actions or areas of focus that we have that are going to help us achieve those pillars and priorities. You can see the first 7 are under student knowledge and skills. Those include things like professional learning communities, where our teachers are able to meet and collaborate and improve one another's practice, our curriculum instruction using data, focusing specifically on special education and advanced coursework, professional learning pathways for our teachers, and family and community involvement. And then in priority 2, you see aims 8 through 12. Those also include community relationships and resources, but also workplace culture and enrichment and co-curricular activities, making sure that we have safe and inclusive, welcoming environments for our students. And then the last 8 are in operational effectiveness, which you see there. That includes our equity framework, looking at how we resource allocate recruitment, retention. Resource allocation was especially something that came out as really strong in our feedback. We've just recently completed our new superintendent's first 100 days. Resource allocation was something that was really important in that feedback, making sure that resources are distributed in a way that is equitable. And so that's going to be really elevated for us moving forward, as well as facility and technology and safety upgrades, which are very timely right now, reliable transportation, and focusing on sustainability as part of being fiscally responsible as a district. And so with those 20 aims, that concludes our 37420, all the parts of our strategic plan. And we would welcome any questions or suggestions that you all would have for us.
But before we do so, I need you to take out a pencil and a piece of paper so we can take this quiz. You will all be graded. All right. What questions do you have?
Any questions from the board?
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a constituent call. First, thank you for coming. I appreciate the presentation. I think that's good to have you guys tell us these things. I had a constituent call me last week. He's probably watching right now, and I understand that all parents are going to be very subjective about what their children have access to. But the question was, and this is sort of two parts. So the question was, this is concerning Lake Myra Elementary School, which is in Wendell Falls, here in Wendell. It was the amount of playground space, in their opinion, that as the school has grown and the area of Wendell certainly has grown and more students have come in, there's less availability of playground space that they can access. Further, from an efficiency standpoint, there's what I'll call a soccer field in the back, because there's two soccer goals with a fence, but they don't really play soccer on it, and it's sort of not utilized effectively. It seems a little outdated. These are the opinions, of course. So my two-part question is, and this is sort of back to your family and community engagement pillar, if you will. When he asked me, this was outside of my wheelhouse.
No, absolutely.
And I don't want to pass the buck and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not a Wake County School Board here, but I want to be able to give an educated answer as best I can that doesn't get us in any kind of situation. So my question is there a correct number that I should give, as opposed to, hey, here's the school board person, give them a call? But so who is that outreach? Who is your, I hate to say PR person, but who is your engagement person, so that when there is a question, they would have the correct answer with a phone number or an email away? If you can answer that question specifically, and that gets pretty granular, I'll take it, but above and beyond that, what's the strategic answer?
You can tell him that you work in partnership with Wake County Public Schools. Please call the chief of staff, make sure that he's aware of your concerns, and he will have somebody from his office or somebody within the district follow up with you.
Can you leave me that card before you leave?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Any other questions from the board?
You guys got to ask some questions. We got to
Yeah,
take some information back.
Y'all have questions.
Yes.
Got a couple. And I appreciate the effort y'all put into coming up with this plan. The mayor was sharing earlier, she participated in that event, and how she felt it was very inclusive of the community, and I certainly do appreciate that. The assessment seems to be countywide. It also seems to have a strong focus on equity. Did y'all have any findings about equity countywide and how that played out? Are there places in Wake County that are less equitable than other places in Wake County? And I think I know the answer to that. And then,
Are we talking about like the allocation of resources with regards for that perspective?
yeah, so I think you could dice that question anyway, right? So if you show me student performance, then I'm going to dice you on how much money we spent there. But not trying to do any of those things. I don't want to cut any of the legs out from underneath the stool, but understanding the health of the stool. How does that play out? Obviously, I'm interested in Eastern Wake County. I can tell you historically that if you look at any social services heat map for the past 10 years, there should be an indication that everything's heading east. I can tell you based on maps and numbers that everything's heading to the east. I can't tell you that by school facilities, and I can't tell you that by planned school facilities, so I don't know that future. And so I throw that piece to you. Those are the only thing I know, as the person that's riding down the road, if I don't have a kid in the school system, the only thing that I see is the school buildings and the school buses. But how do our kids fare in Eastern Wake County, I guess, would be the broader.
Let me touch on this first, and then Leanne, if you want to piggyback, you can. I can't go into specific in the details, because the only thing that I can share with you, there is conversation with regards to the allocation of resources and understanding that there is a need to do more in the east to provide additional support for the schools, as far as facilities, and for the allocations of resources to positively impact student academic achievement. Understanding where our greatest needs are and differentiating our resources based upon need, rather than just saying, you get an apple, you get an apple, you get an apple, you get an apple, whether dependent upon who needs what. So we are having those conversations. But I can't go into details about it right now, because it's still in the stages of confidentiality until the superintendent brings it out and shares it with the community as a whole.
Look forward to that portion. So another question, operationally, right? That's the part that there's a lot of this that impacts the student that the parents are never going to see other than having this wonderful outcome in their kid, hopefully. The parents see the operations of it. I see the text messages for yellow buses canceled today, orange buses canceled today. My wife and I are very blessed. We live here, we work here most days, and she's going to be there half the time anyway. I've got friends that aren't, right? I have friends that have jobs in Raleigh that somebody else, like they have to, it's an hourly job. Any moment they're not there. And now I'm going to dovetail this question somewhere that you didn't think it was going to go. There's a lot of the system that can be improved by the outsourcing of other things. I would argue that a lot of what is going on in North Carolina right now is the attempt to outsource huge chunks of education space. We received a survey not long ago about if this was an option, would you take it in private transportation as an additional option? I know that I would imagine there are people that already have private transportation. I see what's happening in Durham. I understand Durham wasn't open today largely because of a transportation issue. This is a very small piece of the pie that can knock the whole thing off. Can you give me some hope on transportation in the future?
Absolutely.
And some clarity on, that it's going to be a yellow bus that my kid's not going to have to pay to ride?
Absolutely. And Jason Joyner, you ask tough questions. We need to make sure we talk afterwards.
Okay.
No, but seriously speaking, right now we're in the recruitment efforts of making sure that we have compensation to make sure that we can recruit even more bus drivers. We are in the process of building our 23-24 budget. No, 24-25 budget. And in our 24-25 budget, you're going to see those things that are going to be proposed in that budget to make sure that we can address the transportation issue and make sure that we do have compensation at a space and a place where people will want to drive the bus and continue to drive the bus. So no, things are getting better. They will be brighter, and there is a sense of hope, and there is hope for the simple fact that we're addressing the issue head on to make sure that we have all of those vacancies filled, and we have more than enough buses that are picking up and dropping off kids. And if you were able to watch when we were dealing with the transportation issue within our county, that was something that was repeated. I think they went from 16 to something to 17. I think they're at 18. We are addressing it.
And then just my last bit of praise for y'all is the community involvement piece. I work in politics every day, and so I've heard the assertion, oh, well, that this is what is happening inside a school, or that is what is happening inside the school. And, a lot of schools I have to say, I've never been inside that school. With the amount of engagement that my wife has in the school, that's not happening at that school. Why? Well, I know because I'm there, I'm engaged. My family is engaged with that school. And I didn't realize, as the former lobbyist for the North Carolina Parent-Teacher Association, how important family engagement was until I was an engaged family. And so I think anything you can do to drive both this engagement with the community, right? Braxton's never going to have, or Braxton doesn't have a kid in school, right? Like
Thank you.
right? That he knows. Either way, but he's getting engaged with it, right? So if Braxton has a way to engage with you the same way that I'm engaged with you 3 different ways, that's only going to be helpful for y'all, for us, and the kids. And I certainly appreciate the effort you put into this and the thought, and I look forward to seeing the superintendent's proposal and the budget.
Absolutely. And, I wanted to highlight up there, family and community engagement is one of our pillars that we feel is necessary in order to make all those things come to fruition. And so that is a priority for us. Yes, sir.
Just one thing we hear a lot with any new growth we have in the town is reassessing of, the question we get a lot is where are these kids going to go? As looking at the bigger picture of the whole county, especially this area in particular, how often are you guys reassessing school space, building needs, things like that?
We do it yearly. We do it monthly. That's something that Glenn Carroza and his team is always looking at for the simple fact that we want to make sure that we have the space. And those are the recommendations for new schools come from as well, because if we feel as though that the resources or the schools that we have aren't going to keep up with the population as it grows, then there's a recommendation to build a new school, and those conversations are had.
Well, and it's not always, it is sometimes building a new school, but
Yeah.
also not always.
Or
There is
reassigning.
a planned renovation, for example, at Wendell Elementary in 2029, that would allow it, after the renovation, to hold more students, right? So there's multiple different ways that we can look at that, some with student assignment, some with facilities.
And then I guess if that's the plan for 2029, just hypothetically, population grows at even a faster rate than we're planning. Is that something that is, y'all are constantly engaging with, discussing and
Yes.
looking back? Okay.
Yeah, student assignments, Glenn Carroza is the one who is in charge of that. And if you want, I can definitely put you in contact with him. If you want to get more granular, more into details of it, we can do that.
Our town staff regularly communicates with the school system about numbers and.
I was going to just add that the planning department meets
Yeah.
with them at least annually, and I know that Brian and I have been in conversation on multiple sites, multiple times this year. We're actively working several school sites and updating numbers constantly with the school system to make sure that they're ahead of their growth curve in East Wake, or in Wendell area.
We have a good relationship, don't take.
Absolutely. They do a great job.
More questions? Yep, go ahead.
One quick one. I say quick, this might not be a quick one. You don't have to name a town, but what's the model? What's the perfect example of what a relationship between a municipality and a school system in North Carolina should look like? Is there somebody that does it really, really well, and you don't have to say it's Wendell even though you're here? What do you need to get out of us? What's the perfect scenario?
I think that's a great question. The first part to your question, I've been in Wake County now for 12 years, and this is the first time we've gone out to different municipalities to build bridges and build relationships. I can't tell you if I don't know of anyone that does it exceptionally well. This is our first time encountering with it, but one of the things that I can share with you.
We're the best then?
Add it to the list.
Absolutely. One of the things that I can share that we're starting to do, we're starting to meet with town managers and the mayors to really talk about what those partnerships could look like. One thing that I can share with you as well, the board chair has now established an engagement committee. And with this engagement committee, these are going to be other opportunities for the school system to partner with municipalities and other agencies. And so we're creating it, and I would love to continue to create it with this municipality as well, so that we can schedule a meeting with yourself and your town managers to talk about, hey, we want to create a community day, and for this community day, we want to make sure that all our schools within our district or in our town are part of it. Or, hey, can we create an opportunity for all of our principals to come to one of our town meetings so that they can share some of the great things that they do? Today, you had the opportunity to highlight a teacher, but think about how phenomenal it would be for those administrators to come here and speak with you and say, these are some of the great things that we have going on in our school, but more importantly, these are some of the great things that we would want you to be a part of. And to your point, how can the town say, hey, let's create a community day for all schools and put it over here at this park, and so that we can do some phenomenal things to make sure that the town understands that we're in partnership with Wake County and we want the best for all our students. So there's great opportunity for that, and we're more than willing to explore.
We're happy to be partners with y'all. We have a teacher and a child come every town board meeting.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's great.
It's really nice.
That was real.
It's nice. It's nice to thank the teachers. It's very often not the teacher of the year. It's just someone, it's a person who works at the school. The best one we ever had was a lady in the lunchroom. It's my favorite. I love having them here, though.
Everybody
Yep.
wants to be celebrated, recognized, and appreciated.
Everybody needs that, and
Regardless of
we
what
want to
level.
do that. And I like to try to toot the horn in a positive way. Bad things get a lot of attention, so this is an opportunity to say good things. I mean, how can you not love a little boy in the 4th grade doing the pledge?
Yes.
And that's nice for him. It's a core memory for him. That's special.
Yep.
So as we get ready to leave, is there one ask that you would like us to take back for the superintendent to consider?
We need to renovate East Wake High School to replace it.
Okay.
Yeah. Get rid of.
Sorry, that's just mine. We didn't vote on that or anything. I was really ready.
There's a
Ready.
condemned building on the campus,
And
Just
so
got
like
big
Wake
capital.
East Wake High School.
High? Okay.
It's
It's a
condemned.
great school and we love it.
We love it, but it needs some attention. It needs some attention inside and out. A lot of attention.
I will take that back. I will
The
do
inside, there's
East Wake High.
there's some
What are we doing
issues
for it?
with student movement on the inside that makes it hard to manage students during the breaks of changing classes and create situations that don't turn out well at the end of the day because of tight quarters and things like that. There's heating and air problems that I think have finally been worked out.
Are you
Not to
guys-
say that we're not very excited about other
Yeah.
capital projects also in the community,
Yeah,
but
well, yeah, we'll
that's,
take
that's a
those
big-
too, but I just want to call this to your attention because it does, but they just recently achieved magnet status, and I understand some facility improvement comes with that as well, so we're excited to see all the things that are going to happen out there. That and their partnership with the new Wade Tech right across
Yes.
the street.
Absolutely.
That's going to be great for East Wake High School.
And are you guys familiar with the Spark and C Lab that's going to be on the Wade Tech Community Campus that's in partnership with Wade County?
I am, yes. I am
All right.
very excited.
It's a great opportunity.
Yes.
There will only be 2 of those in Wake County,
No.
and one of them is with East Wake.
Follow all the numbers, and it will lead a lot more things to Eastern Wake County. So y'all
Yep.
keep doing good work, but just follow the numbers, and I guarantee you will be back here.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Yep.
so much for coming and sharing this with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you
And,
all.
I look forward to meeting.
I will send,
Yes.
sending you an email, and I'm
Okay.
gonna write down my information for
Okay.
you before I go.
I got it.
Thank you so much.
You got it?
All right, we'll move into item 4C. That is our new website preview, and we're going to hear from our communications manager, Megan Howard. Good evening, Megan.
Good evening.
Oh, thank you.
All right, it's been a long time coming. So in July of 2022, the town released an RFP for the design of our new website. The goal for the redesign was to produce a website that is ADA compliant and accessible, while also enhancing the user experience, streamlining our content management, and providing more accurate information to residents, visitors, and the business community. We received 28 RFP submissions. Admin, IT, and communication staff decided on Revise as our town's web development partner. Revise has launched over 2,500 government sites, including St. Petersburg, Florida, and New Bern, North Carolina. The last website redesign for the town of Wendell was conducted in 2013. So a project development timeline was established in phases that includes the initial setup and designer selection, discovery and design approval, HTML development, CMS enabling, site map development and content migration, quality assurance and accessibility, and training and beta site review. All of this work was done collaboratively, with town staff being hands-on throughout the process to ensure that the design was in alignment with our brand guidelines and accessibility needs. Now, the town's website can be translated into 80 different languages. It also has new accessibility features for navigation aids, which include contrast adjustment, link highlights, bigger text, increased text spacing, a pause button for animations, a hide images feature, dyslexia-friendly font, different cursor options, line height adjustments, text alignment adjustments, and saturation adjustability. Additionally, Revise was built our site according to 2.2 AA principles, otherwise known as the AAWCAG 2.2 accessibility standard. What this does is it allows the website to be operable for all users, including those with disabilities. It ensures that they're able to interact and navigate the interface. It also makes the website compatible for those using a device to read off the website as needed audibly. So let's take a look at where we've been and get a tour of where we're going. You could just bear with me for a brief second. There we go. All right, just give us 1 second. We're switching the lectern to talk to this. There we go. So this is our current website, our soon-to-be former website. You can see there's a lot of dead space to the left and to the right. This was because computer monitors were much smaller in 2013. Don't have any animation going on, but it was great, while we had it. This is what our current website looks like. It's going to have 4 different videos that we're going to swap out seasonally, which feature events that are tailored to be for that season, as well as scenes from iconic places in Wendell that are during that season. So we have some snow in our video for winter. Let me show you. This would be where you would adjust the language. You can also share the website to your social media from here. Our accessibility features are all located on the right. These include all of these, and you can scroll down, you can reset them just to test them out. There we go. We also have these tabs on the right, which serves as bookmarks to jump through the homepage. So we'll start with services. You can tell that the video continues to run in the background as you scroll through the site. These are our quick links. These are web pages that have been visited the most analytically. Also, users that visit the website can sign up for email notifications whenever we post something new. So if they want an update when an agenda gets posted or when a news post is published, they can do that here. Oops, excuse me. We also moved our When in the Dell e-newsletter to be an online blog. This allows us to have a little bit more freedom with design and more frequency of posting. With the calendar, we have stretched it out to be 3 categories. One is events, which would be town events. The other is recreation, which would be sports events and registration openings. And then, of course, we have our Board of Commissioners meetings and our Citizen Advisory Board meetings. We also have live social media feed available on the site. People can read more. There's a pop-up. They can also go to the original post on our social media pages. And then our data info at the bottom. Now, this is just the home page, but it's my personal favorite. We also expanded upon all of our departmental pages. You can see we've got a little bit more department pages here. Just to visit one of them, let's choose police. So we kept the basic tile template design, but we made it a little bit larger and more image savvy. We have different types of web pages that are tailored to what you would need them for. So for example, for resources, we have a business template page, which lists contact information, and these are all operable. If you're looking at this on your phone, you can click this, it'll call directly. It'll email, it'll visit the website. So this is just an example of our business template page. We also incorporated a current projects page, which is synced up to our capital projects. So if you wanted to visit our capital improvement projects, you would just simply click on one of these tiles and it would take you to this site, which updates you in real time where the project is, photos of the project, what the budget is looking like, where the money is coming from, and then what phase of the project we're in. Our documents page is also a little different. Before, we used to just have to type out every PDF form and then link it directly. Now we have drop-downs that are categorized. So if you wanted to see budgets only or fee schedules, you could select the drop-down for that. Town policies is the same. Another exciting thing about the website is we have converted all of our event applications, except for ones that require notaries, to be fillable forms. So you can fill this out on your computer, and it immediately gets sent to the appropriate staff member, and there is also a hierarchy. So if that staff member happens to be on vacation, after 8 hours, it gets sent to the next person in the chain. And these are all printable as well. If someone wanted to print them and fill them out by hand, they're welcome to do so. Let's see if there's anything else that I'm missing. We also have a little bit more leeway when it comes to using images to convey what the page is about, and these are all resizable. This is another example of a business template, but it's used for a different purpose, like our mural trail. And, oh, one more thing. We also have a citizen request center that is akin to Tell Wendell. This will be used for people to submit photos and get updates about things that they care about, like if there's a sidewalk that needs repaired. It works similar to our fillable forms where there's a hierarchy and it gets emailed within 8 hours. Yeah, so that is our current website. We're planning to go live tomorrow. It'll take 24 hours for it to propagate and to be officially live, and it'll be townofwendelnc.gov instead of .com or without the NC. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
I am so excited.
Me too.
And a long time coming, hadn't it?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
great project.
Yeah, well, what you've shown us, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any questions?
Just one.
Sure.
It's awesome. First of all, it looks really good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for all your work. I also know that sometimes when I look at really cool websites on my phone, the mobile use
same.
is not great. Is there a separate mobile set up, or like certain things that are very mobile focused? Just what's that look like?
Yes, so I've tested it on mobile, and I communicated back and forth with the development team to adjust certain things to make it more usable for mobile. So it is adjustable.
Anything else?
I'd just like to thank Megan, and also Gregory Kipiego, the man behind the wall back there, the IT director. Those two were the team leaders on this project, and they really herded the cats of the different department staff, and they spent countless hours on this project the last couple of years. So I just want to thank them for all their effort bringing this up to date for us.
Let me say one more thing, and I don't need to echo Dean's. I think he hit the nail on the head. My first word was this awesome. My context is, many, many years ago, I was paid to do the video work on sites nowhere near as good as this. And I look at this and go, wow, that's amazing. And that's from a lifetime storyteller and a lifetime videographer who's been, again, paid to do these kind of things. And I couldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. So town staff and Dean's, you're right on the head with that. And Gregory and Megan, awesome job. I think this is going to look amazing.
I appreciate that.
It's beautiful, Megan.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right,
Really, thank you.
thank you all.
All right, item 4D is the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for fiscal year 2024. Garrett Johnson. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the board. So here tonight to present the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for our fiscal year 2024 budget, which is the current budget year that we are operating in. This is the 5th consecutive and overall Distinguished Budget Presentation Award that the town has received from the GFOA, Governmental Finance Officers Association. While a balanced budget is required by North Carolina General Statute, meaning at a very basic level, the revenues and expenditures have to match. There's a lot more that can go into a budget document, and the town has made that conscious decision to put that transparency out there, to again, give way more information again than is required, but it's shows very much an intentionality to what the board is wanting to do. So each year, over 1,700 governments across the United States and Canada receive this recognition. The town of Wendell is one of about 65, I believe, based on my last count, jurisdictions within the state of North Carolina to receive this. There's about 550 local municipalities, 100 counties, and various, special districts, water, sewer authorities, stuff like that. So we're 10% of the state that we're a small group of people that have made this decision and have been successful in doing so. To earn recognition for the budget award, the document has to meet a large set of criteria that display policy document, financial planning, operation guide, and ultimately it's a communication tool between the board, the town, and the community at large. Submittals are evaluated by panels of outside reviewers with experience in the public sector and budgeting. So yes, we were very excited to receive this award again. We're kicking off the fiscal year 25 budget, and we'll obviously take any critiques that they provided to hopefully make the document better each year. This was the first year that we used the new ClearGov online platform, which really provided a much more dynamic presentation, being web-based and a lot of more linked data versus the old spiral-bound paper copies that are only as good as what information we have time to put together, to be quite honest. So we're very excited to continue to use that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So thank you. Take any comments, questions?
Congratulations. 5 in a row. That's
Mhm.
outstanding.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anything from the board? All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move into section 5 now, our public hearings. And we have a public hearing for a non-contiguous annexation of approximately .16 acres, PIN number 1774439628, located at 6824 Martin Street. Mr. Coates.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and board members. This public hearing tonight is for a non-contiguous annexation of approximately .16 acres, located, as you said, at 6824 Martin Street in the Eagle Rock community. We're asking you to hold the public hearing tonight and consider adopting the attached ordinance to annex the property into the town of Wendell jurisdiction. The applicant submitted an annexation request for the parcel in order to connect to city water. The property currently contains a single-family home on site. The applicant would like to connect to municipal water as the property is not large enough for a well and septic. The existing well on site would be abandoned, and the applicant would construct a septic on the property. Municipal sewer at this time is well over 1,000 feet away. The existing septic is not on that property currently. And I'll go to the map. The parcel is highlighted in bright blue there. You can see there's a variety of small parcels in that Nightdale, Eagle Rock, Martin Street area. Municipal water is in the Nightdale, Eagle Rock in the road, and then sewer is back across the rail tracks in Anderson Farm. So it's a significant way for municipal sewer at this time. Water is available for connection with an extension, and the applicant and engineering company have been working with the city of Raleigh to see what is needed for that connection. I can field any questions you have related to the annexation request.
Okay, let's open the public hearing. Anything from the board? Yep, go ahead.
Brian, can you help me understand the gray lines? I hope they show, yeah, you can see them on the screen. Is that the water that currently exists, or the gray lines something else, like that are on the streets?
Oh, the gray lines are the existing center line of the roadways.
Okay. And I was trying to see if that was the Martin Street line was where the connection was going to be made or something else.
No, the connection's down to Nightdale Eagle Rock Road. It would have to come up through that public right-of-way from the south.
Okay, that one's called Glasscock Street or something like that, I think, a different street. Okay. For annexations, we don't require any sort of public hearing or anything, or community meeting, right?
We do not, no.
Okay. We're in a public hearing. Well, I'll go ahead and just talk for a second and sort of say what I'm thinking, and we can go from there. But yeah, part of me really wishes that Caitlin Gooch was here tonight, because I've heard her say a lot of times that Eagle Rock was a town once, and this is what she's talking about. These lots are lots that were subdivided like 1900-something, 1910. There was a town there for like a year or two. It had a mayor and everything. The legislature incorporated it. It went away shortly after that. But I'm really excited about an opportunity to do more and be supportive from an infrastructure perspective, services perspective in this part of town, or it's now surrounded by us, so I'm gonna say part of town, in this community. But I guess my question and my thought is just, it's a lot of really old small lots with sort of organic uses that have developed over the last 100 years. There's GIS maps aren't perfect, but you can look at this one and see that there's lots of interesting things happening across property lines and in rights of way that haven't been used or built in the 120 years since they were dedicated. So I guess I'm not necessarily concerned about what we're doing, but I think we need to do a lot more from a community engagement perspective. I mean, this property, I think, transferred sometime last year or the year before. So there's a bunch of other folks that have been in some of these houses and on some of these properties for a longer period of time that I guess I want to make sure that they know this is an option. This, it's going to be a more affordable option if this happens the way it's currently being proposed, at least for some of them, as the water line gets deeper into some of these, sort of into this neighborhood, for lack of a better word, or community. But I guess I hope that regardless of whatever we do tonight, we go ahead and expedite, and maybe especially if we move forward with this annexation tonight, really expedite more of a community planning effort in the Eagle Rock area with some of these unincorporated, what is becoming a really big donut hole in the middle of our town, but ultimately the oldest part of what is now Wendell. Eagle Rock was post office in like the 1830s, I think. And so a lot of opportunity to do some good things and provide support for folks that I think are a really important part of our town, but I want us to do it on a comprehensive basis, not just whoever comes and asks for it, which I know that's where stuff comes from, and that's how we got here, which is fine, but I hope we can respond to this with the proactive piece of really doing some bigger community planning around that node.
And just a couple comments. One, we have had other property owners along Nightdale Eagle Rock Road request info on the water availability as properties are getting, purchased or being handed down to relatives. The question about water and sewer, this property owner faces with septic being on another property is not uncommon in that area. The water and sewer, the well and septic can be on the property, but in a lot of cases, it might be shared. It might be on someone else's property. So the issue that this property owner has with water and sewer is not different than many others. We have talked to a variety of homeowners on Martin Street itself and Nightdale Eagle Rock Road. I could see potentially others wanting to connect to utilities, especially as sewer gets expanded and becomes closer. That could definitely encourage others or have that opportunity. So we can continue working with you all in administration on planning for that area in the future as well.
Anyone else? Any more questions from the board?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I hate to be the cause for any delay, but I have a legal concern with this that I need to discuss with the planning director. And I really would ask you to just carry this over to the next meeting.
The entire public hearing or any?
You can close the
Close the public hearing, but
no action until
okay,
we can run down a legal concern.
okay, that's fine. Any other questions or comments from the board? Is there anyone here that would like to speak? All right, we will close the public hearing, and we need a motion.
I'm happy to move to table it to the next meeting. I can't remember the date.
Next meeting,
24th?
26th, February
26th.
26th.
all right, so we have a motion to table this until the February 26th. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we can do that. All right, we'll move into our administrative items. The first is item 6A, Wendell Park improvements. Mr. Collins.
Good evening. Well, we are saving some budgeted funds on Hollybrook Park, coming in substantially under budget. There are some projects at Wendell Park that were identified in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that staff would like to discuss with y'all tonight as a potential budget amendment for the current fiscal year, anticipating some high public demand when Hollybrook Park comes online. And so talking through, I'll say pickleball started the conversation. When we open our first two municipal pickleball courts in Wendell at Hollybrook Park, a neighborhood park that's designed for a smaller user group, it's likely going to, or will, generate a demand at the same time that two new playgrounds at that park come online and additional public interest in everything in that park. And so there's an opportunity for one of those user groups in the pickleball courts to design another facility here at our community park, which is more regionally focused, that has better parking and facility infrastructure to deal with that demand and use. So we had cost estimates raised if we did 4 lighted pickleball courts here in Wendell Park is the $478,500. Within your packet, it provided kind of what all that number entails. That's a continuation. Also attached was a map that identified next to our community center. Next to our community center is a field that is an unimproved parking area, and then a grass field that's used for T-ball right now. That is in close proximity to parking. Recreation facilities are across the street. There's also power there. You'll notice a power pole there at the corner of the parking lot, so power is available to do lighting. So from a park planning standpoint, that field serves as a good location for that improvement. The unimproved parking area, Public Works will be regrading that this year and applying a gravel surface, so much like the park and ride lot with parking stops. That's an initial improvement to that. Longer term, that would become a paved parking lot in our park plan. Part of the Buffalo Creek Greenway design that's coming forward identifies the access trail there at the on the map in that parking lot as improved ADA accessible parking spaces in the trailhead for Buffalo Creek Greenway that goes adjoining this field and the other multi-purpose field down what is the start of the treat trail down to the sewer easement and the trail. So there's, in constructing phase 1 of our Buffalo Creek Greenway, it provides an ADA accessible access to where this would be located and parking as well. So it's a accessible court facility moving forward. So that's the first thought. That also, we also, as we're growing, how can we maximize the hours of availability and field usage within our existing resources? Currently, 2 of the fields have lighting. Field 3 has not been lit to date. And so the additional $190,000 provides lighting on Field 3. That expands our field availability to more hours for a greater part of that season. So those 2 projects help take some of the pressure off opening Hollybrook Park around this time next year, with these projects being completed in sync with that. So we'll be able to not just open 2 pickleball, but 4 lit here, which hopefully will drive some of that demand, that user group demand here. The lit fields help with just a continued ball field demand growth that we need. If you'll recall the bond project of the 5 athletic fields and the new recreation center. So this is a more immediate need to deal with immediate demand within the realized savings of Hollybrook Park. That came in at 2.6, and we had budgeted 5.1. So this isn't close to that full amount. There's still a large amount of contingency within the budgeted reserve there. But it does meet a more pressing demand in this site. We're also working with Destination by Design. They're kind of a boutique Parks and Rec smaller design firm out of Boone that focuses on bike, skate park, and park master planning to look at the overall area around this to talk about how this, with other court activities and a bike pump track and potential additional bike and skate park facility off the backside of this parking area to, again, expand the community park services, more of that regional amenity that this park was envisioned for moving forward. And that also deals with two different user group, or a couple different user demographics that are underrepresented in our current offerings, with pickleball at times trending either younger or older groups. And then, of course, the teen group is kind of a missing demographic in a lot of our offerings right now. So starting the conceptual planning for that to start solving that one moving forward. But I wanted to present this out, see if there's any heartburn so that we can start a process of moving forward towards securing companies to do this work, and the budget amendment coming to you and not just hitting you with a budget amendment later. Happy to answer any questions or take any thoughts or comments.
I know, I'm gonna do my quick one, and then Dean can have 100. Mark, can I ask then, are you able to prognosticate when the first Wendell-based pickleball court will actually be available for someone to use? I get this reasonably often.
So there are currently pickleball courts that can be used. Our tennis courts are lined for it, and there are also pickleball hours at the community center that people can use. They're not dedicated outdoor courts designed for it, so that'll be the first time that that's available. Right now, first quarter of 2025, Hollybrook comes online. If this is approved and we start moving forward, we would want this open around the same time, if not sooner.
One more question, and maybe I just misunderstood this to some degree, but 2.6 to 5.1, so we came in $2.5 million below budget?
Yeah, so a chunk of that deals with the park costs. A lot of that deals with changing prices in the road improvements. But yeah, we had two different competent bids that were within a couple $100,000 of each other in that space. So it's not something that I can guarantee or promise, and it seems like that hasn't happened much the last couple years. But when we do have that, I do know that there's a list of items that y'all have communicated over time, and so we're pushing this forward. Part of the savings on that project, we had allocated road fee in lieu money that we had kind of pulled off the LAP project. We're going to need to push that back to LAP in the coming months to do the intersection of Wendell Falls Parkway and Wendell Boulevard light and pedestrian crossing, as well as the sidewalk improvements out between that would connect Wendell Elementary out to the Food Lion shopping plaza. So both of those are anticipated, as most LAP projects do, that draw out over time to come in over budget. So we'll need to shift part of that back, but the part that's dedicated to Parks and Rec, what are some projects that were needed now to go ahead and advance that aren't currently programmed? And these are the ones that we continually hear. And we want to set the town up for success to the extent we can when we open Hollybrook. And so having that community park offering coincided with a neighborhood park, which doesn't draw everybody to a park with 30-some parking spaces. It's not designed for that. It's not another Wendell Park. It's a neighborhood park. And as we build those more out in neighborhoods, it'll take some of that pressure off. But
What you're proposing has also been mentioned many times when you all have done community engagement about parks at different events. I hear it all the time about things for teenagers and different demographics. So I'm pleased to see that.
Staff hears the board, we hear the community, and when something comes available, we try and put that back before the board as an opportunity.
Okay. Deans, Jason, which one?
I'll go if you're good. Is it 2 or 4 pickleball courts at Hollybrook Park? I had 4 in my mind.
4.
Oh, okay, I see 4. Okay, cool. Want to make sure I was on the same page. The one other court-based amenity outdoors that I've heard about that I want to keep in mind, and it just at least mention, is outdoor basketball courts.
Yes.
I'd love to think that, well, I don't have the same people build basketball courts that build pickleball courts, but if we could knock it all out while we're at it, that'd be awesome. But just, I at least want to say basketball courts out loud. I'm not attempting to get on the wrong side of big pickleball. I got a powerful lobby, and I'm not trying to mess with them, but I do want to mention basketball courts outdoors.
Basketball courts at Hollybrook Park, I think. Are there
Yeah.
basketball courts there too?
Yeah, that's the two.
Yeah.
The two courts at Hollybrook were basketball, 4 for pickleball.
Yeah.
That, the other place that we're
But it would be
looking.
great to have some over here.
Yes, that's sort of same point as
Yeah.
pickleball, I guess,
Yeah.
in my mind.
The other place we're looking at outdoor basketball courts right now is the Pleasant Grove neighborhood park conversation. Is that might be something to build into that design as well.
That's a ways out, though.
If your budget
Or a way
amendment
we could do it
included
here. I mean,
a basketball court as well, I would be really excited about it.
Yeah, so that whole field complex could be court facilities in the future. Ideally, if you look at splash pad, bike and skate facilities back on that backfield before you hit the tree line, the splash pad would also come with restroom and changing facilities that would then provide that kind of infrastructure service facility for that part of the park. But yeah, so go big.
Looking for feedback, you got
All right.
mine.
Find a place for some basketball.
I would echo the basketball court requirement. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Joyner?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I was just saying now everybody wants basketball courts. I propose it in the whole pickleball
I
world.
remember a time a while back, you and I got
Yeah, dinged.
instigated about wanting basketball courts.
I'm here to bring everybody together.
Well, we.
Or maybe I can just be the
I
target of the
wanted
castigation.
basketball courts. We've needed them a very long time.
I appreciate you helping me see this as steps 6 and 7 in the Parks Master Plan. To each his own. If you want to play any sport, you should be able to play it in this community, and I'm certainly committed to making sure you have a place to play it. I would say that this is a one-time windfall, and I expect you to hold, and I know that the community will hold us accountable to sticking to that Parks and Rec Master Plan regardless of whether or not we have savings in this year. There's also some things that never make it to a Parks and Rec Master Plan, but also get noticed by the community that I think would be good to address. And if we're going to dump what I can only imagine from the level of emails and energy that I hear in the pickleball community is a lot of people into this new parking lot right beside these new pickleball courts. I don't know who designed them. If I find the vendor, I will personally tell them that I think they have a horrible product. But the rubber mats that we're making into speed contraptions, I think that would be a beautiful place for a nice speed table that was a little bit elevated so that I could see the people walking back and forth to the dog park or to the community garden or back and forth to the pickleball courts. It's a safety piece. Also, the front end of like every vehicle that goes to Parks and Recreation would inevitably be in better condition.
And we did have a good conversation here about all the other public streets in town not needing to have
Speed bumps.
speed bumps. So I'd love for the ones that we are fully on our property to also kind of go by that same general practice. And I think a speed table would be a really great solution, middle ground on that.
For me, there's trees there, and it's 2 different angles on either side of the road. So people are coming up out of a ditch or coming down off of that gravel. And so I generally drive a golf cart when I go through there, but it's
Drive
hard
around
to
'em.
see people. Well, you used to could, and now it's a little more difficult. We had worn them down. We had really gotten them to a place that it was working.
So the current thought process right now, the driveway going into the community center off of the end of 3rd Street isn't a town road, it's a driveway. It actually has no road base underneath it, so there's nothing to build a table on, and that's part of the problem out there right now.
This is why you don't ask questions.
So when the 5-field complex is at the end of industrial, then you have the new recreation center, and there's the connection of the road through to Third Street to connect those through. When that connection is built in the next few years, the thought is in the road program to program that whole section. So anything that you see now is just a temporary thing to try and slow people down a little bit until we get to that build it right, which would also include a side path of a greenway nature connecting up from the entrance into the park through the park to there, so it's kind of next to the dog park and tennis, connecting all of those amenities as you go through the park. So yeah, we fully acknowledge that is not the solution. It's a very temporary measure, and we understand, but I need y'all to understand that's a complete road construction project that's a little more than a table right now.
Yeah. Well, that's helpful, and also sounds very expensive. So
Yes.
I will do something hopefully less expensive, and in standing up for the pickleball community, really the indoor pickleball community. I had the pleasure of watching a basketball game inside the community center the other day. I know that we have wonderful ideas for the future of the community center, and I have no doubt we're going to spend a lot of money over there shortly. But I looked up and realized that the reason that I couldn't see in that room was because we have incandescent tube lights up there, and surely at this point, LED's got to be cheaper. Like, there's got to be a better option for that. So if that was on my list of commissioner comments, but since we're talking Parks and Rec and money, I figured I would layer that in there. I'm not opposed to any of these things. I think Dr. Lutz and the mayor and I have likely heard about lighting on Field 3 for as long as, I've heard it as long as I've been here. The only thing that I would add to that in the lighting portion of Field 3 is long-term Parks and Rec master plan, making sure that things are in the right place that we always want them. I know that we'll never build our baseball outlook is going to look different. I personally could see one of those fields becoming the centerpiece of the baseball field world. I could see us turning one field and making it more usable. So just, I guess, make sure that whatever we're putting in the ground electric-wise plays into that whole master plan, and I know you will, but I just had to say it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
What is the, I don't have it in front of me, the parks master plan, the field there where you have the pickleball courts, what does that field look like on the plan?
It doesn't go into that detail. No, that's one reason that we've asked Destination by Design to kind of look at that area and create kind of a sub-plan for that part of the park that hasn't been planned out. We have known uses, but we don't have locations in the system. And so that's what they're doing right now is how does this all connect and flow through? I know Jeff's done a walkthrough with a couple people on their staff over the last couple months from a conceptual standpoint of staff to a design team that's very feasible and workable space. This is a team that's out of Boone, so they're used to different topography and rock strata in their design for a lot of these. So this is like an exciting canvas for them that they're not used to working on. So that they're really looking at how to tie in like use of the parking space parking lot here. So on a weekend, if there's, or like the Pro BMX event gets shifted out to a bike park, how do you utilize different parking areas and get pedestrians there? So they're thinking through that connectivity and long-term use on these fields and also the court complex.
And it is long-term, the maybe some T-ball fields are there now. That's something that the staff can work around as far as relaying out the T-ball fields.
With one pickleball, they can still have 2 to 3 T-ball fields on that. There's room for 4 with that right now. The field lighting on Field 3 extends hours and also can shift T-ball up to a different field space. That longer term, that's kind of the goal, is shifted up. Lighting allows for older kids to flex out the number of days and hours a little bit, and younger kids need less formal space.
Is that it, everybody? Okay, so get it back
Yep, that's what we need. Thank y'all so much. This is exciting.
Item 6B is the Town of Wendell sponsorship policy. Ms. Smith.
Good evening. Staff has developed a sponsorship policy to formalize the effort to seek sponsors for town programs at events. So you probably are aware we currently accept sponsorships for athletic teams. We also have signage in our outfields, on our ball fields, but we don't currently have an actual policy to reflect those agreements. So this policy would capture what we're already doing, but also gives us the opportunity to expand to our town-wide events. So the purpose of the policy is to define the conditions and guidelines for those relationships. As you're aware, sponsorships are a valuable source of revenue for the town, so we want to make sure they're managed in a way that's best to maintain the town's reputation and values while providing support for town programs and services. So the policy outlines a definition and criteria of sponsorship, and it provides an overview of what would be considered in any sponsorship offer. It also speaks to the criteria used to determine if an offer is unsuitable. Examples of recognition are included in the policy and more specifically outlined in the brochure, which was an attachment in your packet. Each approved sponsor would enter into an agreement with the town that would cover desired and offered support, benefits of both parties, terms of recognition, content duration of the proposed public recognition of support, as well as circumstances that warrant termination of the sponsorship agreement. So the policy itself just speaks to the agreement and the language. The brochure, which was also an attachment, would outline the cost and levels of sponsorship. That piece of the component would be captured and reflected in the board's adopted fee schedule. So that would allow the board to review and make any changes to the sponsorship levels each year. So the policy itself doesn't have to be updated if we decide to make an adjustment to the sponsorship levels. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Start.
Yeah.
Where'd the fee amounts that are in this initial proposal come from? So what's the thought behind them?
So the fees that are for the team sponsorships and the signage sponsorships are the existing amounts that we are currently charging. The different levels for the event sponsorship, we looked at the total cost to the town for each event and tried to calculate a percentage of what sponsorship amounts will make an impact on offsetting those costs. The different levels of platinum, gold, silver, and bronze, we wanted to offer different opportunities depending on the budgetary allowances of potential sponsors. We wanted to include a platinum level if we have the larger scale major sponsors, and wanted to be able to offer kind of a big co-naming opportunity for kind of the big budget opportunities that could possibly be out there.
The only one specific thing that I've got a little bit of heartburn about in the full draft policy is sort of I like the big structure and how it works, and especially the leeway that it gives staff to not get cornered into having a name or a brand or somebody else taking the reins for us running the town and running our events. So that sort of discretion's good. And sort of to that end, in the section where there's like 3 items that are what do you take into consideration in not allowing a particular sponsorship to move forward, you being staff or the town. The first one is pretty specific in listing particular classes of sponsors that are just prohibited. And the second and third are more the sort of general leeway and y'all making decisions that are appropriate for the town. I don't love the first item. I think we talk about that a lot in a lot of different scenarios of saying no, never, without really even knowing what's on the table and what we're talking about. And so that, just that full list of I can think of 20 other things that could be on a list like that, and I'm not sure that everything on that list is always going to bother me. So I just as well, I think if I had the magic marker, I'd probably just get rid of that first item of those 3 bullets and leave the discretion for sound decision-making around protecting the town's image and the town's name without full exclusions for whole classes of sponsors.
I would second that, and would go to, in section 3, it's the second sentence. It says the town will reject any sponsorship agreement that poses a threat to public trust, the public's perception of the town's abilities, or the town deems might have a negative impact, mission, image on, or values. Y'all are an amazing staff, and I'm sure that you have the ability to identify a lot of things, but the future is not one of them, and that's what that particular phrasing is trying to get you to do. The town will reject. I think shall endeavor to, maybe the attorney has a better line for the town will reject, but clearly that means by definition, if you don't reject it, then it poses no threat to anything else, right? Doesn't pose a threat to our reputation, which in my mind is no longer a sponsorship, but a tacit endorsement because we took it. And the other piece that I would just caution us with on that section 1 is the $20,000 sponsorship. Like I could certainly see our good friends down at Bearded Bee Brewing Company say we'd love to be your presenting sponsor because we're going to do a whole day thing on the 4th at Bearded Bee, and we'd love to be the fireworks sponsor. And with this policy, I don't know that we, with that included, that alcohol, all those specific things, I think that I like giving you guys the discretion, and I like not boxing you in. So I would suggest changing that little paragraph and then maybe striking number 1.
I've got one question. Optically and I guess playing favorites, and I can't believe coming from me, certainly I'm pro events, I'm pro sponsorship, gosh knows it, I can't believe I'm saying this, but from when I put this hat on and I asked for color from staff on this, has this been done in other municipalities to where we can have a track record? I guess my worry is optically, does it look like we are endorsing or someone's endorsing us, or this person contributes to somebody's campaign or not? I don't get to election here, but that's my first concern. Second concern is, do we always play favorites? If there were hypothetically 2 car companies in this town and Universal sponsored 3 or 4 or 5 events, and gosh knows do a lot of things for this community, and we appreciate what you do, I'm just worried about, is there an optic concern? And I ask for elaboration on, has this been done in the past? And
You referring to general sponsorships of events or particular levels of sponsorship?
so I guess what other municipalities have had named sponsors for events, and how's that worked out for them over the years? Is there some history, some backstory on this, some color, if you will, on this?
So a lot of the language of the policy was done through comparative analysis with other communities that do have ongoing sponsorship policies. So the different levels of sponsorship and how the policy itself was written was in large part pulled from a lot of area jurisdictions. So sponsorship policy, sponsorship brochures is a common way for government municipalities that host events to be able to generate some revenue to offset the cost of those events.
How many years has that been in place, and was there any negative feedback in your analysis?
I don't have that information. I would have to come back to the board with that.
Braxton, I've been in local government over 25 years, and I have heard of sponsorship policies all 25. It goes as simple as the square on the outfield of the Little League field. When I was playing, I can still tell you that Perry Brothers sponsored my soccer team, and I had a Perry Brothers T-shirt on when I was like 8 years old in Southern Pines Rec. So sponsorships are a way that the business community can show support to the town and its youth in different programs. It's very common for fireworks shows to be sponsored by chambers or larger chamber donors rather than the taxpayer. So this is a very common practice. It's just that Wendell has never had a practice written down in an organized format. And so a lot of what we do is going from people doing things out of the goodness of their heart, or as a town just doing accepting a one-time donation, to having an organized policy in place that guides that, so that staff isn't going outside of y'all's policy boundaries, if you will. So this feedback about boundaries is helpful, about how broad or narrow you want boundaries to be able to update it, but that the practice is older than me.
And I've seen, final on this one, I've seen, the signs on the outfield, obviously. I guess my concern was sort of that, at that headline level, if there are 5 or 6 bar restaurants in this town, and they all want to do the fireworks display, and then one is picked, and I get 4 phone calls from the other 4. So I'm just.
I can say
and I
we
can
would
move
love
on.
to have that problem.
Okay.
Yeah, please give us.
It would likely be first come, first serve. And I would point out that the platinum level sponsorship is the only one where we would only allow a single sponsor for that
Everyone else, there
level.
could be
You can have
bunches.
multiple levels for the other
Thank you.
sponsored levels.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
To the other end of the spectrum, this is this, but probably Jeff budget fee schedule conversation. So I think a lot of times we have difficulty getting people to want to do this. From a small business owner who's, I think, done most of the things on this page, perspective, I'm invested in it now because I have a daughter in it, right? So I want to sponsor her team, and I know about it because of those interactions. The outfield signs, right, that's a one-time thing, and I can do it. If there was an option that was 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, that allowed for Parks and Rec to have some flexibility, and I say that if all the teams aren't sponsored, allowing you to go plug in, be like, oh, well, I have Joiner's good, I can put them on a soccer team and this, and that's a different, I am grateful to live in this community. We have a great Parks and Rec program. I felt so bad for my daughter's basketball team this year because every other kid had a Wendell Parks and Rec. And right, it's not, 5-year-old basketball is not sponsored a lot. But if we had 5 community partners that had just put into a fund, we could have had the other teams looking similar. They all looked alike, but every other kid has a jersey that says Wendell Parks and Rec, and I have what looks like a bunch of future lobbyists in Joiner Government Affairs. Absolutely fine, but I realized, oh, there's not a lot of people sponsoring this level. How could we do that? And I think for the person that doesn't care about what team it is or how, they just want to help the program, one big check at the beginning of the year, and then allowing staff to kind of tell them, hey, look, we're going to use your sponsorship to do 3 things, or don't give them specifics other than a number. And
Of the park or
Right.
something like that.
but
You're going to get on her nerves for too long. I'm just going to go ahead and give you that little parenting hint.
have no doubt.
But maybe like something that's open-ended, if friends of the park or something, maybe you could incorporate something like that.
I remember a mother on the front porch one time telling her son that's her job.
It is your job.
So-
I'm just telling you, you're going to get on her nerves.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Do my best.
I'm on her team. Okay, did anyone else have something they wanted to add?
I'll take this feedback and I'll rework some of the
So-
language and bring the policy back before the board.
Thank you. All right, that was our last item for tonight. We'll move into section 7, or other business, updated by board committees, by town board members. Let's see, Commissioner Deloach is out tonight, so have you got that? Okay, great. Commissioner Eben.
I went with Joint Commissioner Deloach for the first Central Pines Regional Council, formerly known as TJ Cog, meeting for the year. That was in person, their offices in Durham. Mostly just onboarding, but the one really big thing that I think will continue to be maybe a topic of conversation here in the future, related to, we had presentations from Cary, Durham, and Raleigh water around water supply. And I think sometimes as a municipality that does not operate a water system anymore, I kind of think, oh, I don't have to think about that the same way some of those other folks do, but our folks are drinking water. Obviously, we got to pay attention to it. I think y'all all have gotten an email from the manager about interest in taking a tour or getting some presentations, and not to speak for him, but I imagine that's going to be a topic we hear about some more in the future. Lots of big conversations, and staff's already on top of it, but I was not here during the merger process, so I still have a lot to learn on the waterfront. It's very interesting, probably one of the most important things that goes into operating local government.
Thank you. Wendell Volunteer Fire Department, Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The way the dates fell, we had only been apart 2 weeks when we had our last fire board meeting, so there wasn't a lot to update you on.
Okay. All right, let's move right into our commissioners' reports and stay with you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate tonight was a fun night. There's lots of exciting stuff coming to Wendell. It's cool to see it. Speaking of fun things, February 23rd, check out social media, but there will be a number of us in Dancing with the Stars, Eastern Wake County. For $30, you can get a half a chicken, green beans, the whole shebang. and a show at Hepzibah Baptist Church. Would love for you to join us for that event. We're going to be raising money for a really good cause. So would love to have you all there. And speaking of cool events, I got the cool opportunity, government, the mayor says this a lot, that she doesn't like the speed at which government works. She likes to make it move a little faster. And so you can imagine that my 6-year-old would really like to see government work faster because she's 6 and she wants everything to go faster. So it was cool to get to see her at the groundbreaking for the Hollybrook Park. That's going to be a really cool spot. I was reminded when I was out there looking at it that I was initially hesitant about that too. I initially didn't know if that was these are good things. Growth creates a lot of opportunities like this, and I'm excited about that park, and I'm excited about the updates to this park, and I'm excited about the Parks and Rec Master Plan, which, obviously all coming together. Appreciate town staff because you witnessed them tonight come to us with policies that I know they've spent months and at some points years working on, and then you hear us just chirp around the edges and talk about things that aren't actually, right? Like we didn't talk about pickleball. I talked about my little crosswalk and, right? But our staff realizes that that's like our way of working through it. And our staff does a good job of listening and coming back with policy. And that's why you don't see a whole lot of us outside of this room talking about it, because when we say it, staff goes and they work on it and they come back with stuff that's good. And I appreciate that. And I would hate to have my work reviewed twice a month by a group of people who did not work here the other 29 days of the month. I would despise it. So I want to recognize y'all for what you do every day, and certainly thank staff for everything you brought forward to us tonight and everything you'll bring forward in the coming months. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Lutz?
Hi, Mayor.
Commissioner Eman?
Yeah, Mayor, last week I spent the week for the first time in my life in Chapel Hill, which was a little uncomfortable, but I spent the week at the School of Government. In the School of Government has an advanced leadership core program with local elected officials from county commissioners, town council, city council, town commissioners, and a couple school board members, about 25 of us from across the state, talking about leadership and just exchanging ideas and getting to know each other better and getting a few pointers along the way. So I want to thank the board, manager, town, taxpayers for allowing me to participate in that for the week, but also just let you know that I will do my best to put a little bit of what I learned to work, and always helpful to learn from other folks about the similar challenges that we all face, but also there's a lot of really important folks across our state putting their time and energy into making their communities a better place. It's always encouraging and sort of revives some optimism about government and making it work and all that sort of thing along the lines of what Commissioner Joyner was saying.
I'll be quick. I actually brought a visual aid. So on the 23rd, the 24th, and 25th, support local theater. These guys are really trying hard to bring a show to Wendell. And obviously, as I said, a lifelong storyteller, this is kind of near and dear to my heart. So if you like the arts and you like local theater, it's called Girls Night Out. I've actually met the talented actors and actresses that are going to do this, and it's going to be a fun little show. So there's 3 shows here. And the astute among you might realize that on the 23rd, if you can't go, because there might be the greatest dancer in all of Wendell's history on the far right of the dais, if he wants to, and I'll yield if he has a response, but I've heard he's going to hit the stage on the 23rd. Oh, yes, sir, you're welcome. I yield, Commissioner Joyner.
I think it's great, and I look forward to the total embarrassment that will be February 23rd.
Aren't you both doing that? Aren't you doing it as well?
Mayor, I think he was conceding, so if we could just let him finish conceding, that would be. It's for the children.
His dance routines are in secret and private. We've seen no video evidence, so
Participating in this event as well.
there is that rumor going around. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. Don't hold anything you see at that against the town board.
Please and thank you.
Just saying. I have one thing real quick. The second of 2 community meetings for the Lake Myra County Park is going to be held here tomorrow night at the Town Hall from 4 to 7. County staff is going to be here to give out information and answer any questions that you may have. It's a very exciting project. I'm happy to see it's come back online. It's important to have something beautiful to look at and preserve that area out there. That's very important to me, particularly if you're unable to attend. It's my understanding it's all on their website, on the Wake County government website. And I did look around, and I found it actually even on my phone. So you can find it and take a look at that. And if you have any questions, you can contact them with those. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Mayor,
Yep.
Commissioner Deloach is home and under the weather and asked me to mention that February 19th, the Wendell Fire Department Honor Guard will be at the Carolina Hurricanes game.
Oh,
So
okay.
Wendell Fire Department,
Monday night?
February 19th.
I'm going to be there that night. All right.
That's how we planned it. It was supposed to be, anyway. And with that, Madam Mayor, motion to adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned.